My hands wouldn't stop shaking. The conference room felt like a coffin and everyone was staring at me like I'd murdered someone. Mr. Harrison threw a stack of papers across the table. They scattered everywhere. "You stole $100,000, Cody," he said, not asked, said. My throat closed up. I tried to speak, but nothing came out. In the corner, I saw Damien leaning against the wall. He wasn't shocked. He wasn't confused. He was watching me with cold, dead eyes. Someone whispered, "I knew he looked desperate." Another voice said, "Broke people always do this." I felt my face burning hot. "I didn't," I finally whispered. But nobody was listening anymore. Security walked in. They grabbed my arms like I was dangerous. People lifted their phones. I heard the camera clicks. Someone was filming. I walked past desks where I'd worked for 3 years. Nobody said my name. Nobody asked if I was okay. My friend Tyler looked down at his keyboard, refused to meet my eyes. Outside the building, a woman pointed at me and said to her friend, "That's the guy from the video." My legs almost gave out. When I got home, there was an eviction notice taped to my door. Bright yellow paper. 7 days to leave. I sat on my apartment floor and couldn't breathe. Everything I'd built was gone in one morning. My bank account showed zero. I tried calling the office, blocked. I tried explaining to my landlord, he hung up on me. I sat there for hours just staring at the wall. My phone kept buzzing with messages. People I hadn't talked to in years were asking if it was true. Some were just laughing at me. I felt like I was drowning in air. Then I opened my laptop. Something felt wrong. I checked the login history. Someone had accessed my computer the exact morning the money disappeared. The username made my blood freeze. It said, "Damien Admin." He'd been in my system. 3 days later, a girl from accounting found me at a coffee shop. Her name was Kiera. She kept looking over her shoulder like someone was following her. "I shouldn't be here," she whispered. Her hands were shaking worse than mine. "I saw Damien in your office that morning, Cody, before anyone else came in." She pushed a small flash drive across the table. "Don't tell anyone I gave you this." Before I could say thank you, she was gone. I plugged it into my laptop that night. It was an audio recording. Damien's voice came through crystal clear. "I'm going to make Cody fall so hard he won't get back up." Then another voice laughed. I recognized it immediately. Detective Morris, the same detective who arrested me. I called my friend Wesley. He's good with computers. He came over and checked everything on my laptop. His face went pale. "Bro, this wasn't random. Someone's been watching your system for months." I thought back to all those times Damien asked me innocent questions. "Can I borrow your login real quick? What's your password set up like?" I was so stupid. Wesley pulled up more logs. "Someone used your security card at 2:13 in the morning." I was asleep then, home, alone. We checked the building's security footage online. The video showed a tall figure in Damien's black jacket walking into the office at night. The person knew exactly where the cameras were. He'd planned this. I stopped crying that night. Something changed inside me. The sadness turned into something else, something harder, something burning. I wasn't going to just lie down and take this anymore. I started making a plan. In one frame of the security video, I noticed something small, a coffee cup on the desk. It had a logo from Barney's Pub, Damien's favorite place downtown. I drove there the next night and waited in my car. Damien walked out at 9:30 laughing on his phone, looking relaxed, happy. I followed him home from a distance. I didn't know what I was doing yet, but I knew I had to do something, anything. I called Damien 2 days later, made my voice sound broken and defeated. "You won, man. I just want this nightmare to stop." He actually laughed, loud, proud. "You should have seen your face in that meeting, Cody. You looked completely finished." I was recording everything on my phone. My hands shook, but I kept my voice steady and weak. He kept talking, bragging about it. Then he said something that made me freeze completely. He mentioned a bank account number. I wrote it down fast with shaking fingers. After the call, I searched it online. The account was registered to someone with Damien's last name, his sister. She worked at Pacific Trust Bank downtown. I sent the recording to a lawyer the same night. Lawyer's name was Gloria Hahn. She listened to everything without interrupting once. When I finished talking, she leaned back in her chair. "Cody, this is bigger than you think," she said quietly. She started filing papers immediately, calling people, moving fast. I felt like a human being again for the first time in weeks. 2 days later, she called me with news. I found something interesting. Detective Morris and Damien went to college together. They're listed as references on each other's background checks. My stomach dropped hard, then she said something worse. "And Morris is trying to close your case early, before it goes to trial." They were trying to bury the truth. Bury me. Kiera agreed to testify. She was terrified. Her voice kept breaking during our meeting, but she showed up anyway. She told the investigators that Damien walked out of the building with company envelopes the day before the money vanished. Then she pulled out her phone with trembling hands. "I took this," she whispered. It was a photo, Damien sitting in his car. His phone screen was visible, a banking app showing a balance of exactly $100,000. Kiera started crying softly. "He told me he'd destroy anyone who talked. Anyone." I put my hand on her shoulder gently. "You're brave, Kiera," I said. She shook her head. "I'm just tired of being scared all the time." The company opened an internal investigation finally. They found deleted files on the server, altered logs, changed timestamps. Everything pointed back to Damien now. The bank records showed transfers to his sister's account, then withdrawals in cash over several weeks. Gloria filed a civil suit against him. Things were moving fast now, but Damien wasn't going quietly. He posted on social media, "I will crush anyone who lies about me." People were starting to ask him questions in the comments. His friends were getting quiet, distancing themselves. I saw him once across the street downtown. He looked thinner, angrier, tired. He saw me too, and for the first time ever he looked genuinely afraid. Damien broke into Kiera's apartment one night. She wasn't home, thank God, but her security camera caught everything. He was looking for something desperately. Files maybe, evidence, proof. He knocked over furniture, tore through drawers, scattered papers everywhere. When police showed up later, they found a torn piece of paper he'd dropped. It was a handwritten note from Detective Morris. It said, "Keep quiet until this blows over." Morris was arrested the next morning at his house. I got a strange package that same day. No return address, no name. Inside was a photo of Damien sitting at my old desk. Someone had written on the back in red ink, "Goodbye, Cody." Gloria set a trap. She arranged a fake settlement meeting, told Damien if he showed up we could make everything go away quietly. No court, no publicity. He actually came, walked in confident like he'd already won this game. We sat across from each other at a long table. I pressed play on my phone. His voice filled the quiet room. "I'm going to make Cody fall so hard he won't get back up." His face went completely white. Then his girlfriend, who he'd brought for support, started crying hard. "I can't do this anymore," she said between sobs. She told them everything, how he'd planned it for months, how he'd bragged about it at home, how he'd made her lie to police. Officers walked in. Damien screamed, "You'll never find the rest of it." But they did. They found everything. Detective Morris confessed to everything in exchange for a lighter sentence. The company issued a public apology to me. They offered me my job back with a raise. I said no. People who'd ignored me suddenly wanted to talk, wanted to apologize. "We always knew you were innocent, Cody," they said with fake smiles. But I remembered. I remembered every single person who looked away when I needed them. The money was returned to the company. My record was cleared completely. But something deep in me had changed forever. I couldn't just go back to normal life. Then I got an email from a stranger. "Please help me. Damien did this to me 2-3 years ago. Nobody believed me either. There were others. I wasn't the only victim." I started my own consulting firm, helping people who'd been framed at work, helping people who had no voice and no money. Kiera was my first hire. We worked out of a small office downtown, but it felt like real freedom. Months later, my old company called me. They had an employee claiming fraud against them. They wanted my help desperately. I almost laughed out loud. The same people who dragged me out in handcuffs now needed me to save them. I took the meeting anyway. Walked into that same building, sat in that same conference room. Mr. Harrison looked older now, tired, broken. "We made a terrible mistake with you, Cody," he said quietly. I nodded slowly. "Yes, you did." Then I smiled for the first time in months. "Let's begin." If you've ever been blamed for something you didn't do, you know this feeling deep in your bones, that crushing weight when nobody believes you, when people you trusted turn their backs without asking questions, when the truth doesn't matter because someone louder already decided you're guilty. Drop one word below if this story hit you somewhere real. Survived. Because that's what we do. We survive the lies people tell. We survive the betrayal from friends. We survive the loneliness of being innocent in a room full of judges. And if you're still fighting your battle right now, I want you to know something important. The truth is patient. It waits quietly. It builds slowly. And when it finally breaks through, nothing can stop it. Hit subscribe if you believe the truth always finds a way out. Share this story if you've ever had to fight for your name alone. Comment below and tell me your story. And remember this, being knocked down doesn't mean you stay down forever. Sometimes the people who try to bury you don't realize they're actually planting seeds. This is how we rise. This is how we win. Subscribe now because more revenge stories are coming. Stories where the underdog wins, where truth defeats lies, where justice finds the patient. Don't miss the next one.